Welcome to Track Talk with TrackGabe. Today's show has a very special guest, Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. Enjoy the show.
And we're back. And we're with the legend, the Hall of Famer, Mike Smith. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good. Thank you. I really appreciate you for letting us talk to you for a bit. I know you're a busy man. You got a lot going on, so I really appreciate this time. So we got Rodriguez running this Saturday, huh?
Yes, yeah, he's already there. He's doing really well. His foot seems to have healed up real good. So all systems are go so far. So I'm
Yeah.
excited
Are you
about
happy with the
the
5 post?
opportunity.
Are you
Yeah,
happy
that's
with
fine.
the number 5 post? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a short field. Long run to the first turn. The post isn't as important. As it would be in the Derby where you have 20 horses.
Yeah, of
And then you
course.
kind of want to, you want to draw well, but any one of those posts would have been fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I bet maybe you wouldn't have preferred the outside, but everybody is expecting you to go to the front. Do you think you're going to be lone speed in there? Or?
Well, certainly the speed of the race. He gets away well. He's going to more than likely be on the lead. But he's a real good horse. I mean, he's gonna run good. He's gonna run quick. So we just got to be good enough to hold him off.
Yeah, and with and with sovereignty and journalism and those two, I mean, they're going to be tough to hold off. But Rodriguez sure was impressive in this last start, and he's rested. And journalism ran two tough races in the last 6 months or 6 weeks or 5 weeks, and sovereignty, needed a break after that hard Derby. So that leads me to the next question that somebody wanted me to ask. What do you think about the Triple Crown format right now? Do you think, there's talk about it being changed? Do you think that's something that should be done? Stretch out the races or keep it the same? What's your thoughts, Mike?
I'm a bit old school on stuff. I kind of like the way it is. It's difficult for a reason. It's there's only been 13 horses to have ever done it, which is it's important to keep that kind of
Yeah.
history going. I don't see nothing wrong with it. I don't see you're not putting any horses in danger. The ones that can handle it and can do it, man. I mean, look at journalism. He's going to run in all three. He's come out of all three, races in great shape, and he's doing really well. So, that's what makes the Triple Crown the Triple Crown is that it's extremely difficult to do.
Yeah, and you did it with Justify a few years back.
Yeah. Um,
Gave
listen, a horse can go on a win streak all the time. It's not uncommon. You can see that. But for the Triple Crown, is not only you're running against the best 3-year-olds in the world. It's the time, the difference in between the spacing in between the races that makes it so difficult, and that's what makes it the Triple Crown. If you want to make it easier, I guess you can. But I'm for keeping it the way it is.
I am too. I don't want that. I think it's silly to change it. We've had two Triple Crown winners in the last 10 years as well, with American
Exactly.
Pharaoh and you would Justify. So it's not impossible to do. And we had remember that long stretch we had from the 70s to 2015. It's hard, and it's hard for a reason, like you say. So I'm glad you have that opinion. Your opinion's real respected, and I hope they listen to you and all that. Another question a lot of people have is, um, we don't want to mention your age, even though you look like you're 35,
I'm
but
feeling great.
you look great. You seem like you're feeling great. People want to know what you're, especially men that are 50 and older. I've had a lot of them wanting me to ask you, what is your gym routine and your nutrition?
I'm not a big eater. I don't eat a lot as far as my nutrition. I eat healthy. I eat well. I eat on days that I ride. I eat one meal a day. On days that I don't ride, I try to do a very light lunch, and then of course just somewhat of a light dinner. So I'm not a
No, no
real big
breakfast.
eater. I don't eat much breakfast. I get up with a cup of coffee in the morning, and I'm not a big breakfast guy. Every now and then, if I'm on vacation, I certainly will. But I'm not a three meal a
Yeah.
day kind of guy. That's something a rider just can't do. It's hard to maintain your weight at doing that. You'd have to do a whole lot of cardio if you're going to eat 3 days a week. Three meals a day. And then when I go to the gym, I usually go in an hour early before I have a personal trainer that I work out with 5 days a week. And I usually go in an hour before, and I do a little routine on my own, a lot of balance stuff, just a lot of things that I do on my own. And then I train with him for an hour, and then whatever specific body parts that we're training, we train for an hour on that. And then afterwards, I'll do my cardio. I'll usually go on a run anywhere from 3 to 5 miles a day, and I do that 5 days a week.
Wow, 5 days a week. Wow, you're an inspiration to a lot
Yeah.
of people.
Well, you got to
Wow.
make it a way of life. Otherwise, that's what's keeping me around. If I did anything right, early in my career, I started doing that, and here I am in my mid to late 50s, and feel
Yeah.
amazing.
Wow, that's very good. So you think so a lot of what you did early in your career is what making you last long in your later in your career.
Exactly. Instead of being out in the golf course and drinking beer, which I'd like to have been, I hit the gym 5 days a week for about close to 30 something years straight now. And yeah, like I said, I feel amazing. For my age, I'll be 59 in August, and man, my routine is every bit as strong right now as I was when I was in my mid to late 30s.
And you look almost the same as well. That's the thing. Everybody thinks you look as the same as the guy that rode Holy Bull.
Well, I had a little bit more hair back then, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Talking about old horses that you've rode, a lot of course, Zenyatta, Justify. You've ridden some of the most famous horses that ever ran, but a lot of people in the Live and Breathe Facebook group, they want to know about Arrogate and his personality and more about him. Can you tell us more about Arrogate?
He was just a tremendous horse. What he did in his career in such a short amount of time was phenomenal. Don't know if we'll ever see anything like that again. He, in a short career, became the richest racehorse on the racetrack that ever was. I would have to say at a mile and a quarter, he was probably one of the fastest horses I've not only been on, that I've ever seen at a mile and a quarter. I mean, he broke a track record at Saratoga where he ran a mile and a quarter in a minute and 59 some change that had never been done. And still to this day, he holds that record there. He was just an incredible horse, and it was just too bad that his I think his breeding career was over much. He passed much too soon, man. We're seeing these babies now, how amazingly talented they
Yeah.
are. Can you imagine if he was still, man, who knows how great a sire he would have been as well. But he was a cool horse. He was all business, man. He didn't like you to mess with him much on the ground, man. But once you got on him, he was a sweetheart, man. He aimed to please, man. You pointed him in the right direction, man, and you just tell him how fast, and he'd do it.
So he was a push button horse, right?
He really was. He was kind to ride. For a big horse, he was really easy to maneuver. He was a very athletic horse, and he was. He reminded me a lot of a train that just keeps going faster and faster and faster and faster. I mean,
Oh,
he just every quarter of a mile just seemed to be faster than the last.
wow, that's very interesting.
I mean, you could,
Wow.
if he was to jump well, you could use his speed. He had some speed if you wanted to, and he just had stamina through the roof. I mean, it was crazy. Or he could sit second, third, fourth. It didn't really matter. That was what was great about him. He wasn't a need to lead type. You could do whatever you wanted with him.
And do you think he didn't like Del Mar? What were your thoughts on that?
He came back from Dubai, and for whatever reason. He just never was quite the same after that. And I don't know if it was Del Mar or what it was. At that point, he just wasn't quite the same after that. He passed away with I believe it was some sort of aneurysm that he had in his neck. It was very strange thing that happened to him, and I don't know. Whenever he got back from there, he just trust me, he just wasn't the same horse. Otherwise, he would have beat them horses. He already beat all of them, the same ones that wind up beating him the last couple of races of his career. He kind of toyed with them early on, and just for whatever reason, when he came back from Dubai, he just wasn't quite the same.
Yeah, I don't think he was the same horse either.
I don't know if something was going on, with that aneurysm in his neck and pressing on some nerves or something. He'd start tilting his head sideways after that. It was just kind of strange. I don't know, and it was something that you couldn't find until it was too late.
Here's a question I've had, and you're the best person to ask this question to. Do horses know where the wire is?
I think they do. Yeah, they certainly know whereabouts it is. Because they're creatures of habit as well. I mean, they pick up on things. They know where when you ask them to finish, and whenever when you pass the race, you let them down, and then they get used to it. I truly believe they know where the wire is at. Especially the good ones.
Zenyatta, don't you think Zenyatta was a perfect example of that?
Yeah, I mean, she always seemed to make it closer than it ever had to be. But look, she'd win by a head or a neck, but she could have won by 10, 12, 15 lengths at times. She just did enough. And a lot of that was just letting her. She would catch them so quick that you could kind of set it up. And when you asked her for other than that very last time she ran by everybody, man, every single time.
Yeah.
And almost did it that night as well. So,
and even in defeat, it really silenced all doubters. She ran a huge race that day, and she proved who she was and that the hype was real. Because I remember there were still some people that were doubting her, saying she was just West Coast and never beat anybody and all that, but she really proved herself, and that must have been something to be on a horse like that with such personality, right?
Yeah. Well, look, she was something you had to see, but she beat everybody that came her way. I don't understand what the critics would be. She beat the best boys in the Breeders' Cup Classic the year before.
Right, exactly.
I don't know what else she's supposed to do. All she can do is beat who's ever in the race, and that's what she did every single time, other than her last time. But she was something you had to see to really truly understand her. She was amazing. It was the whole show, the whole thing she did before, and she was once in a lifetime. If anyone ever would ever looks, very few people are blessed to have gotten a horse like that or gotten to ridden a horse like that. I have no. It's just there'll never be another one like her. I've never seen one like her before, and I don't think I'll never see anything like her after.
I say the same thing, and I'm talking as a fan. I did visit her twice, at the sheriff's barn, and what got me is how she posed for pictures. When she saw a camera, she just stopped and looked at the camera.
Oh yeah, no, she was an entertainer, man. She would have got Entertainer of the Year every year if she was.
Dancing with the Stars too.
Oh, she got it all, man. She was something else, man.
And
she was just magnificent looking as well. She was just big and beautiful, man. She really was. She really is. Still is.
Oh, she's definitely one of the most beautiful specimens I've ever seen, and I could second what you say. Seeing her in person made a big difference. She was magical, and I've never seen a horse like her, and I don't think we'll ever see another one like her. She is a once in a universe type of horse, and very, very blessed that I was alive to see her, and I'm sure you feel blessed that you're able to ride her.
Without a doubt, man.
Yeah.
I was her biggest fan, man. I was a big fan of her. I just I was busy riding her, but I was just in awe of her every time. Every time she ran, it was just incredible.
Yeah. So, you have any idea? Another question from the group. What does the future have in store for you?
Win more races. Let's start by winning the Belmont this Saturday, man. Well, I ride a couple over there this Saturday. I ride Citizen Bull and in the Woody Stevens, and of course Rodriguez in the Belmont. So let's start by winning those two, and we'll finish this year off and see where we're at. If we got any nice 2-year-olds that have come our way, we'll keep on going.
Yeah, Bob Baffert has some good 2-year-olds.
Exactly. I still think there's another Derby left in me, man. So I'm not giving up yet.
Oh, I think there's 2 or 3 left in him. I'm
Well,
already predicting that Bob Baffert wins the 2026 Kentucky Derby.
that's a good prediction. There's a good
Right?
chance of that. Yes.
Right? And then how about on your days off? Do you watch any TV shows, watch movies? What do you do?
I'm a big sports guy, man. Whatever's on sports, man. I watch it
Oh,
all.
I never knew that. I bet a lot of people didn't know that.
Yeah, I watch every kind of sport there is. I mean, you'd be surprised. I don't care what it is. It's competition. I enjoy watching it.
See, competitors like to watch other competitors. So you do all the major sports, right? Like NBA,
Oh, all of
football,
them.
baseball.
Yeah, football, tennis, golf, volleyball, softball, women's NBA. I watch it all, man. I just really enjoy sports, man.
Wow, even hockey. Do you even how about
That's
race?
one. That's the one, and not that I don't enjoy. I enjoy it. I just that's something that I've never done myself. So I that's the one. But I love watching it, and I love watching, especially when it gets into into the Stanley Cup, into the playoffs and
Oh
stuff
yeah, the
like that.
playoffs. Yeah, it's real
Yeah,
fun.
but I've never skated on ice skates before, so I that's one thing I've never done. The rest of the stuff I've done, I played tennis, I golf, I've done all kinds of stuff, but
Wow.
skating on skates, I just never done that.
Do you
But I
watch?
like that. I watch a lot of a lot of what a lot of people watch nowadays. A lot of Netflix shows, man. All kinds of those series, man. They get you hooked.
Yeah. You got any now for us to watch? Any Netflix shows that you're hooked
The
on?
Landman, I guess, was the last one I just kind of finished it, and I'm waiting for a new season to come up on that. That was really good, actually.
Was that the one with Billy Bob Thornton?
Yes, yeah,
Oh
really
yeah,
good.
that's the best show I've watched in 5 years.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So,
Oh yeah, that's a really good show. Anybody out there, both Mike Smith and myself recommend Landman. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's a real good one.
yeah, it's great
Yeah.
acting.
And how about NASCAR? Do you watch NASCAR? Because some people say there's some similarities to NASCAR and horse
And
racing.
horse racing, yeah, no, I do, yeah. I watch that, some NASCAR. If it's on TV, I'm watching it, man. Especially when it has to do
Oh
with
man,
sports.
that's a treat. That's a treat. So Citizen Bull's running this Saturday. I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
didn't. Okay, and I think Citizen Bull's a lot better. I just throw out that last race of Citizen Bulls in the Preakness, don't you? I mean, he
yeah, and
just
he's short.
that
Yeah,
wasn't him.
he's coming back. He's cutting back in distance. He's going 7/8. I think Bob's taking the blinkers off just to let him settle a little more. I think you're going to see a different racehorse. I've actually been on him before and set off of horses without blinkers on, and he settled nice. Not that I'm going to take him back. I mean, if he's wherever he's comfortable, I just think he's going to run a real big race. And I know, like I said, I know Rodriguez is doing real well. I've been watching his last few works out here at Santa Anita, and he just looked great, man. He was just looked tremendous his last two works. So he's going to go out. He's going to give an A effort, man. We just got to be good enough to beat him.
Well, I mean, the fact that you just mentioned 7/8, I mean, that makes me think he's going to be real tough.
He should be. I like horses turning back from that, long distance like that into that middle distance, man. They're really fit. They can run hard, from gate to wire.
Oh, that's a good handicapping angle.
Oh
You
yeah,
know.
that's
And do you
one of them
read the
old.
form every day, or?
Oh yeah, just like everyone else does. I do my my homework, and then you got videos you watch, and you can catch up on horses. And at this point in the Triple Crown series, you kind of already know everybody.
Yeah.
You know their styles and stuff. But yeah, you still look at the forms.
Do
And
you have
then
a
after that,
system or anything? Like, do you circle the horses you like, X the horses you don't, anything like that?
with riders, you're just looking at it pace. You're looking at who's the speed of the race. If you're the speed,
Yeah.
if you're not, it's who to follow. Who do you think you want? You could some horses you don't want to be behind. They might be coming back to you too early or stuff like that. There's just all kinds of same way anyone looks at the form, and then when you go in the gate, listen, man, you got to be able to go to Plan B. If Plan A ain't working off paper, there's Plan B, C, and D, and on down the
Oh
line.
yeah.
Times you just got to play it the way it comes up, but a lot of what we look at is just to see who the pace is in the race.
That's true. You got to, improv. That's true. Sometimes you got to change plans, tactics. So because, and that brings me to my next question. Um, how important would you say the start is to a race?
I would say the start to any race is important. I mean, anytime you can start well, that's a plus, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you
Well, I
don't
think
want,
a lot of people
yeah,
downplay how important the start of
no,
a race is. I think races can be won and lost by the start, don't you think?
without a doubt, no matter how far you're going. But I guess the start, certainly gets more important as the races are shorter.
Yeah, of
Is
course.
you got just have more time, I guess to recover if the farther you go. But even then, I mean, the start is very important. How many times have you seen the margin of victory be this much, or a nose, or a head, or half a length, even a length, and a bad start, you cost yourself a length or two right off the bat with a bad start. So, and you lose position, you lose all kinds of things. So a start is extremely important.
Yeah.
The only time you don't wouldn't care not to start well is when you want to just cover one up. When you want to get them way back and just make one run. Then your job is already done leaving there. You just basically sit there after they've gotten away bad. So you're already back. So that'd be like the only thing that you'd want, that you wouldn't mind just not breaking quite as sharp. But even then, you still want to break good and good in a good stride. You don't want to break sideways or hit the side of the gate, or stumble or anything like that. You still, even though that you're going to take one back, you still want to come away good and straight.
Yeah. Wow, that sounds wow. Very good insight from the Hall of Famer. And how about riding the turf? How do you ride the turf different than the dirt?
Well, the turf is easier to get over, right? So it's extremely important to save ground. So you want pocket trips on the turf. Anytime you can save ground, because you can stop and start really easy on the grass, much easier than the dirt. Whereas the dirt, you want to make it a smoother race. You could even lose a little ground just to keep the momentum and to keep it smooth, other than stopping and starting. Especially when you're coming from off of it in the dirt, you're getting all the kickback from the dirt, and dirt is taxing, it's tiring. So you don't want to stop and start on the dirt too much at all. You want to make the trip as smooth as possible on dirt. Whereas the turf, you can cover up, man. You can get a hold of one and get down into a pocket and cover them up, and it's just easier. It's easier to quicken on the turf.
Yeah. I remember you winning the mile when I was a young kid on lure. That was real impressive.
Oh, he was still to this day probably the best grass horse I ever rode. He was an amazing horse.
I was
Heck
that was
of a
gonna
miler, man.
that was gonna be my next question. What's the best turf horse you ever rode? Lure,
Oh, I
right?
would say it would be Lure. Yeah, it would definitely be Lure, especially at a mile, man. He was just he's back-to-back Breeders' Cup winners of the Breeders' Cup Mile, and probably would have won three of them in a row if he didn't he had a really bad quarter crack the last race he ran, the last Breeders' Cup he ran in, and
Oh,
if he didn't have that, he probably would have pulled that off.
see, there's some more information that we're getting that a lot of people may have not known. And then, was it the first Breeders' Cup or the second Breeders' Cup where you had what was it, post 13?
That was the second one here at Santa Anita.
Yeah, the one
Yeah,
I was at. Yeah, it was post 13, right?
yeah, and he had like a not even a like, what 16th of a mile to get to the first turn, and and,
Yeah, I
and
don't know how you did it.
so somehow he got over there really quick, man. He left there that day like a rocket, and that if I ever needed one to jump well, it was that day, and boy, he did it.
All right. Well, one last question. I know you're busy and you got to get going, but this is my personal indulgent question. And I've always wondered this. What do you think Zenyatta's best race was? You would
Her
know.
Well, she had quite a few of them, but I would have to say her winning the classic. When she beat the best boys in the world that day, that was extremely impressive, man. It's a day I'll never forget. Anytime her name pops up, that race just automatically pops into my head when she won the Breeders' Cup Classic, and I believe it was 2000. Was it 9? I believe it was. Yeah, it was eight or nine. I can't remember what year it was, but when she won the Classic, anyway,
Yeah, it
that
was
was
2009.
2009. That was her best year.
And I always say the you remember the Clement Hirsch she had where she barely got up at the last jump?
That was impressive as well too. She was spotting him a lot of weight, and to do what she did that day and get up the last jump, and It was so many of her races, man. I get excited about every one of them every time I talk about them because she always made them exciting.
But if I ask anybody to go and look at that race, the 2000, I believe it was 2008 Clement Hirsch, where look where she was at the 8th pole,
and then
look
she
where
caught him.
she made a move, and I think she went the last 8th in like 5 and 2 or something. They said
It was crazy. Yeah, she went the last quarter mile on that day, and was it 20?
It was supernatural, wasn't it?
It was crazy how fast she went. She went faster the last quarter of the race than they did the first quarter of the race, which you hardly ever see that.
Exactly. And I always say that showed when after that race, I said, she's supernatural. And it also made me wonder if she knows where the wire is because she just timed it perfect.
Oh yeah, no, she knows where she knew where it's at.
Oh man. Well, hey, you know what, Mike? It was great talking to you. Thank you so much for your time and your wonderful personality. Thanks for what you do to horse racing. You're a wonderful ambassador. I see how you are with fans and stuff, taking pictures and so forth. But so thank you, and good luck with Rodriguez and good luck with Citizen Bull, and have a safe flight over there to New York. Okay, my man.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me on, man. Have a great rest of your day.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow. That sure was a great interview. This show is going to take off. Track Talk with TrackGabe is horse racing's best podcast. Thank you for listening and watching. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to join Live and Breathe Horse Racing Group on Facebook. We have over 9,000 members. Join now.